This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome to Level 1, Lesson 1. As always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. Jeez, I can't tell you how many times I've said that throughout my lifetime. All right, so back to what we're going to be doing and kind of the breakdown of what these classes are going to be. So we're going to be talking all about prints. Obviously, there's going to be other things that come into play, but we're really going to be focused on tape reading and how to understand exactly how it works. So we're going to start off not slow, but we're going to recap a little bit of what we need to know first, and then we're going to start getting really, really intricate into things. Okay, we're going to be talking, personalities first before understanding possibilities, understanding the possibilities of the actual prints from what it has shown us. We're going to be talking about examples of safe trades to take from prints that we see versus trades that aren't really as safe, even though the percentage is there. I mean, we got a lot that we're going to go over. Now, that's all going to be level 1. Level 1, I'm going to teach you basically everything that you need to know about how to understand reading the prints and what they're going to mean. Now, level 2, what we're going to do, it's going to be like a previous level 3s. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to pick out stocks, and I'm literally going to explain them as it's happening live. All right, in my opinion, basically what level 2 is going to be this round is I'm going to teach you how to use screen time and what screen time actually looks like, how to benefit and utilize the time that you're in front of the screen the best that you can. All right, so we're going to actually take live stocks and I'm going to break them down as they're happening. Okay, and every single print, I'm going to give you a reason why those prints come in. Obviously, unless there's nothing to go, but as you can understand, so I'm going to be doing that entire thing. Now, level 3, what we're going to be doing is you guys are going to do exactly what I did in level 2. So you guys are going to be on the mic. Obviously, if you don't have a mic yet, I'm sure some of you guys, the phones all come with headphones that have mics on them. So everyone should have an ability to have a mic. All right, and you're going to do exactly what I did in level 2. All right, so you're going to pick a stock and you're going to break down every single thing that you see happening within that stock, basically following a story. All right, the same way that I'm going to be doing it in level 2. All right, any questions on our structure of what we're going to be doing? All clear? All right, so Dave, definitely, we'll start this week, but make sure that you get in because we need to set the schedule for everybody so that everybody can get a turn. And then we'll basically, obviously we'll go from there in our level 3. All right, so what do we think the most important thing to understand about prints are? What's the most important thing we need to know before we can even entertain the fact of being able to tape read? Where does it all start from? So patterns, not necessarily patterns. Yeah, print personality. Print personality is the #1 thing we need to understand. All right, so what is print personality? Can anyone here define to me what print personality is? When I say print personality, what does that encapsulate within the words? Let's start there, because without print personality, we cannot read the tape. We have to know what our print personality is. So what is print personality? Essentially what it is, how many prints can move the stock. So essentially what print personality is the average amount of prints over 1,000 shares that constitute a trade. All right, so when I say that, when we take a look right now at CGIX that we have up, how do we figure out print personality? Well, what we look for is we look for bursts. We want to see what the bursts actually look like. On average, how many bursts come in? When a market maker takes a trade and it shows us a trade of their prints over 1,000, all right, how many come in those clusters on average? So the easiest way to do this is to literally break down and just scroll down your time and sales and see. So as we come into here, you can see it's a little bit thin. All right, we have, basically, 4 that's sitting there in that burst. We come back over here, we have 6 that are sitting right there. We have about 4, so on average, when a market maker actually comes into this stock, what would we say the print personality is? When an actual market maker shows us their real position, on average, what do we think we see here? Christian says 4. Remember, don't be afraid to be wrong. Put out your numbers. Make sure that you're participating in these classes. You will get the most out of them by answering. Forget about trading right now, because after this class is done, you'll be able to trade way better than ever. Okay, so really about 4. All right, now can you be wrong by saying 5? Is 5 a wrong answer? No, it's not. Because why is having a larger print personality? So if you're in between 4 and 5, somewhere in that area, really the number's 4. It's really closer to 4, but why is it important to understand that if you go with a higher print personality, you're better off? Why? What does that tell us? Well, it's telling us that you're going to need more prints. Can you ever go wrong with more prints? No, you can't. Unless, all right, if we looked at so technically you kind of can. Because if CGIX, if my print personality I mark down as 10, what's going to end up happening? What's going to end up happening? You're never going to trade it. You're never going to get any type of chance, because there's nothing that's ever going to break past print personality. All right, so you got to be within, 1 to 2 within there, but you're going to miss a ton of opportunities. So you can't be crazy. You can't say, okay, well, the print personality is 4, so let me mark it as 10. It's got to be somewhere within there. But if you said 5, it's very close to that. If you said 4, you're still right. It's still in there. So there's no, we're not going to sit there and actually count every burst and average them out, because then we're never going to trade. We're just going to be sitting there doing math homework the entire time. All right, so we got to be somewhere within it. Let's do a few more examples just so we know that everybody has this down. Let's take a look at OLB real quick. So OLB, all right, and if you have your platform up, you feel free to look at your own platform. What's its print personality? So if you look here, all right, and this is where you kind of, some people might get thrown. Yeah, we're talking about 2 to 3, aren't we? Because in reality, yeah, we got some big prints here at 12 and 1250 over print personality, but look at the actual bursts themselves. Do we have any bursts besides those 2 up there that are over 4? No. So what we see in this is that it's really about 2 to 3, somewhere in that area. All right, print personality at a level is going to be different than the overall print personality for the most part. Why? Why when we come to 1350, or in this case 1350, 1250, or 12, are we seeing more volume, seeing bigger? And it's more available at a level. So don't get thrown off just because you see, at a level it printing bigger. You have to look at the overall, because the overall is really telling you how the stock is going to trade. Now, there's also another part of print personality that we have to pay attention to. Is print personality going to be different as a stock is moving versus when a stock is in consolidation? Absolutely. Why? Why? Yeah, it's more orders versus less. When a stock is moving, typically, if it's moving up, there's less people that want to sell. And when a stock is moving down, there's less people that want to buy. It's just that simple. Now, when a stock is just going completely to the side, it's a mix. So really, what is the better print personality to understand within a stock? Consolidation print personality or moving print personality? Which one is better for us? Moving. We're going to talk a little bit later about different ways and how the stock is moving and how prints are affected by that. But moving is really the print personality we want to understand, because that's what the stock is doing while it's moving. Guess what? What do we want a stock to do when we get into a trade? We want it to move. All right, we want it to get away as far and as quickly as possible from our entry. We want money time. Money time print personality is always going to give us a better understanding. Now, at the same time, if the stock is stuck in consolidation, should you be trading it? No. So is print personality really that important in a consolidation versus when it's moving? it's still important to look at and understand, but it's not giving us the real vision of what a stock is going to do, what we need for a stock to actually move. Consolidation is easier to buy in because it's just sitting in there. All right, so sometimes we might see a big print personality during a consolidation and things are going to thin out a little bit as the stock is moving. So it's definitely something that you want to pay attention to. You always want your print personality in a stock that's moving rather than consolidation. Now, knowing the print personality and consolidation, it's going to help you because then you're going to be able to use it once the stock starts to move and see what the change is. All right, we talk about money flow sometimes, right? Okay, so money flow in a consolidation is a lot different than money flow when a stock is moving or when it's actually money time. So that's something that we need to understand. All right, let's do one more and let's make sure we're all on the same page. Let's do GSAT. What's GSAT's print personality? What's GSAT's print personality? So those two higher bursts throw you off, but if you look at this. This was all the same person. Okay, that came in, all the same burst. And if you see, most of the time when it actually prints, this is going to be 10 plus. And the reason I brought this up, why is it different with a stock like this than the previous two that we just went over? Why is GSAT different? Volume. Cheaper stock, it's a different animal, and volume. When you have thick orders within a stock, I don't care if the print personality shows 3, you need higher. Okay, a stock like this that's trading this much volume, it's got to be 10 plus for you to even pay attention to what's happening. Because when a stock's trading this much volume with this thick of orders, okay, time and sale, the filtered time and sales is literally almost the same thing as regular time and sales, isn't it? Do we have any, I mean, this is moving like a normal time and sales, isn't it? So when you see something like this that's trading that much volume, your print personality immediately has to go to 10 plus. If we see these 264 prints right there, mean nothing. 264 means nothing. 265, love it. 264 here means nothing, means nothing, means nothing. Why does it mean nothing? Well, the stock is $2.65. So do I care about anyone that's printing less than 10 prints? So in this scenario, even if it showed us a print personality of, let's say, 2 to 3, and the orders were really, the prints were coming in bursts that were really thin, I don't care. Doesn't mean anything to me. I automatically in my head have a set up 10 plus, no matter what it showed. Does everyone understand the difference here? Okay. So we have to get that, even if it's showing us that, the stock's moving a couple cents here and there with these little bursts that are right there, doesn't mean anything. We need to see someone that goes in hard. Okay, who do you want to follow? The person that, trading 5,000 shares of this, or the person that comes in trading 1 million shares? Obviously, the person that's 1 million shares. And for this stock to get up to 3, we need to see lots of million share orders coming in for it to be able to break. So always remember, if it's trading that much volume, okay, and this is just for basically stocks under 10. If it's trading this much volume and it's $150, it's still, we go back to regular print personality. We've all seen stocks move huge amounts before on thin prints. But you're not going to get that on a stock like GSAT because the orders are too thick and the volume is too high. Okay, something that we have to understand. Now we'll do one more normal one. Let's say OGI. OGI, what's our print personality? Wrong. Anything under one number right now is going to be the wrong answer. What's our print personality in OGI? 10 plus. See what I did there? 10 plus. Why? Why is it 10 plus? Cheap stock, big volume. Are 4 or 5 or 6 prints, even though it's showing that, going to be enough to really care about? Is that going to show us the stock is going to run to this double top up here? Thick orders. High volume? Is 5 or 6 prints going to be someone that we want to follow in this stock? Nope. Now, what happens if we get continuous prints in different bursts? So like, let's say for instance, 585, we see, 5 prints come in, then it's another 5 prints and another 5 prints and another 5 prints and another 5 prints and another 5 prints. And it just keeps showing huge buying at that level, big buying at 5 prints a piece, but at that same number. Is that okay? It is. Why is that okay versus not being okay? Yeah, more than likely it's the same person and it's someone trying to hide their buying. They're just not showing it all at once. But if they continuously hit that level over and over and over again, then it's still somebody that's showing that huge interest. Really what print personality is that this is a person that I trust in. So somebody that hits a level over and over and over again, I trust in them because I know that they're building a position there. Versus right here, 589 to 590. Is this good for print personality? Is this above print personality right here at 590? Sure is, right? Now, are we all clear on print personality? Good to go. Beautiful. Now let's talk about the different types of trades that we're going to follow. You guys know it as 1 through 4. What's a one trade? What does a one trade look like in the prints? How do we define a number one trade? Yeah, so a short pullback. Okay, so it's a short trade, number one, from a pullback of ask prints at a major level. Okay, so huge ask prints above print personality at 6. Okay, we'd look for a pullback. Okay, and we would trade. I mean, in this case, obviously the stock isn't moving enough, so we wouldn't trade that. But like for instance, we'll look at DDD. Okay, perfect example would be a stock like DDD that comes up, huge ask prints at 56.50. We look for that trigger down. But the key to this is what some of you I didn't put in there. It's above print personality. Okay, so if we go to 56.50, okay, what's our print personality right now in DD? What's our print personality here in DD? So I would say 2, but you wouldn't be wrong with 3. It's very, very, because if you look, there's really not many prints that are 2. You have this 1 3 that's right there. Remember when we talk about coming into the level, right there, that's only 3. Okay, and the rest of them are singles. So that singles kind of averages it down to 2, but being at 3, can we be wrong putting it at 3? As we talked about before. No. So how many prints would be above print personality in order to take this as a number one trade? How many prints would we need to see at a minimum? At a minimum, 6, because you're talking about 100% of print personality on a stock that is trading very thinly. Now, if you got 8 to 10, what does that mean? What does that mean for us? It's even higher percentage. It's even better. Okay, but the minimum that you're really looking for, because if the print personality is 3 and you get 4 prints, is that enough to show us that it's longer term rather than trade now? No, it's not. We need to see a drastic increase. The more, the better. Now, why is it the more, the better? Understanding how prints work, why is the more prints in a number one trade, the more ask prints you get, the better you are, the higher percentage you get of that coming back down? More prints, the more they have to build. Let's put it simply, longer term. Prints way over print personality are classified as longer term. Prints at print personality are shorter term, right? And we're going to get into the different types of prints after this as well. This first class is going to be a refresher of exactly what we need to know going into when we get more intricate coming into there. Okay, so the bigger, the bigger the prints are over print personality, the longer term those prints are to be read. Does everyone get that? This is a very important fact. The larger the burst of prints is over the print personality, the more longer term it shows. Why is that? And the bigger the pullback. So let's get there. Why is it? Because it's longer term. Okay, longer term means time to build. Remember, when we see prints that come out, that's the tip of the, and exactly, Eric, that's the tip of the iceberg. So if they're showing us that much, think about how much they actually are looking to build for. And as Tracy said, so we're looking for the bigger pullback. Higher the prints over print personality in a number one trade, the bigger the pullback's going to be, okay, the more that they're going to build. Because they're showing us a huge position. So when they show us a huge position, that shows us how big, that there's so much more that they're really looking to do. So if prints are at print personality, is it a smart trade on Ask Prints to take a number one? It is not. Unless what? We're going to get into a different type of print now. Unless what? Okay, so if the prints are at print personality, okay, let's say in the, oh, Jesus Christ, this is a beautiful trade. So coming back in, so if the prints are at print personality, okay, taking a number one trade is not the higher percentage because what it's showing us is it's more in the shorter term. Retail would look at big Ask Prints as the move up. Market makers would take their shares, of course. Absolutely, Tracy. Absolutely. Thank you, Andy. Reaction prints. Make sure you guys are writing this down. So there's different types of prints. Okay, we have controlling prints, which controlling prints are at major levels, basically 50s and dollars. Okay, those are controlling prints. But we also have reaction prints, and the best type of reaction prints come followed by what? Controlling prints. So if we were to see the stock, let's say, come up to 56, huge Ask prints, let's say 3 or 4 at print personality, but then it's followed up after it goes up a little bit, followed by huge selling. Does that now allow for a number one trade to a high percentage? It does. Okay, so are we all clear on number one trade? Beautiful. Number two trade is still a short. Now, why are number one and number two both short trades? Yep, time frame. It's the fastest. All right, do we ever know how long someone's going to build for? Once we see our prints, do we know the exact time frame that someone's going to build for? No, but we do know that stocks take the stairs up and they take the elevator down. So when someone is looking to build, when are they going to start building? Now or later? Now. So number one and number two technically are the fastest type of trades because stocks just go down quicker than they go up. It's that simple. So number two trade, okay, is bid prints followed by a pull-up and then a trigger back down towards those bid prints. Okay, so for instance, let's use these prints right here, 49.50. Okay, this is what? Is this fit print personality? It does, right? So in this case, these 49.50 prints that came back in are telling us it's basically a shorter term trade. We're not going to take the pull up because it's telling us that it doesn't need to pull up that long unless it gets what? A reaction. Now 50-30, the reaction to those prints, what does that tell us? What does that tell us? A bit extended because you have to look at something, okay? And it all fits, and this is what we talked about in last class, and we're going to be constantly bringing this up. But if you look, it's moved $7.50 today. What happens when a stock looks too damn pretty? I use the exact term as last time. What happens when a stock looks too damn pretty? Games. How easy is it to break underneath 50 and hold? Yeah, not an easy thing to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look for that pull up to be shorter term, then we're going to look for a trigger back towards the downside. But we need to stop seeing buying coming in, because when we see something like this at 51.85, what did they tell us? It's got more room up, right? So that number 2 trade, okay, what we're looking for is we're looking for prints within print personality. Has to be within print personality, because if it's not within print personality, let's say it's way over print personality, what does that tell us? Something way over print personality is going to tell us what about the pull-up? We're going to get to this in the next trade. What's it going to tell us about the pull-up? Okay, way over print personality on the bid side, yeah, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be longer. That turns into a completely separate trade now. Now versus being in the print personality, which tells us shorter term, we would be looking for that. So if our prints are within print personality, it's a number 2. Versus if they're outside of print personality, brings us to our next trade. What trade is that? Our number 3 trade. Okay, a number 3 trade is now going into a long trade. So a number 3 is going to be controlling prints above print personality, and we take it long. Why is that? Why do we take it long when it's way above print personality? I know it sounds repetitive, but we're going to drill this in. No one's going to have a question about what they need to look for once we get. But why is it way back? Yeah, same reason as number 1, exactly, just in reverse. What it's telling us is that way above print personality, they have a lot more to build. So if they have a lot more to build, that means we have a lot of room to the upside. So now we can make money in their building phase, bringing the stock back up. Versus where number two, we needed to be within print personality. Now that brings us to number 4. What's a number 4 trade? So number 3 is long after controlling bids. Yes, controlling bids way above print personality. Okay, because what we're doing is they're now telling us, when a market maker shows us it's time to build, what are they actually telling us? When a market maker says it's time to build, what are they actually telling us? Yeah, it's time to make it's basically giving the reason of why 90% of traders fail. Because when it's their time to build, who are they building from? Are they building from other great market makers, or are they building? Yeah, they're building Johnny Retail. I like that, Eric. They're building from Johnny Retail. All right. So what they tell us that it's time to build, but we want to try to trade it with the way that they want to go. Guess whose shares they're going to take? Yours. Your shares. So when they show us it's building time, they want the stock to go the opposite direction of where their actual position is. And when they want the stock to go in the actual direction, are they going to get mad at us for helping them get it there and taking that long trade while it's their time to build? And I know that kind of sounds funny. Are they going to get mad at us? But I'm telling you, they pinpoint. They know exactly what interest is where and what goes on. So don't let them be your shares. All right, that doesn't mean, like, for instance, TD, it looked like some type of news or something that came out just because of the volume that came out. So yeah, it had a pretty big pull up because of the amount that it moved back down. But still, because those prints at 49.50 were within print personality, we have to look for the downside. Because even though it showed us that it's going back up, what's to not drop the same amount of bar again? Do you see what I'm saying? So one of the most important part of being a trader is understanding what's the possibilities of losing. What can I possibly lose here? Do you see what I mean? So a number 4 trade is just the same as a number 2 trade, but the opposite. What we're looking for is we're looking for ask prints within the print personality. So if the print personality is 3 or 4, we want 3 or 4. Is 5 going to be okay? Yeah. What about 9? No. No 9. Okay, we need it to be, within 1 to 2 of what the actual print personality is. What about 6? So 6 is right on that kind of that gray area. Okay, if it's 3, 6 is still okay because it's still showing us building. It's just not showing us a huge amount of building. Remember, the best trades, the best pull-ups and pull-downs are after really to be standing out. So 6 is acceptable, but are you getting the full 60% from your prints if there's 6? There's 6 prints. Well, see, the other variables don't mean anything right now because at the end of the day, if you have 3 prints and it goes to 6, it's still acceptable, but are you getting the full 60%? Rich, do you look at the actual amount in each pulse on the tape for factor in and to factor into print to personality? Not sure what you mean. Yeah, I mean that's what we're looking for. These pulses, these bursts that we see coming in, that's the exact thing that we're looking for in order. Do you understand? Yeah, so if it's 6, it's not going to give you the full 60%. You're going to have to take away about 10%. That comes into it. So you're really only getting 50. So then you can add the other variables that come into it to really get the understanding of whether or not it's a high percentage trade. But unfortunately, it's really, if you get a great trigger and you only have 6, technically, what is the percentage of that trade? Technically, what is the percentage of that trade? Give or take about 60%. It's a little bit above a coin flip. Okay, so if you add other variables into it, then that gives you the ability to make the percentage of the trade actually higher. All right, but it's not going to give you your full 60%. Now, if you get 10, you get 8, and you get something that's really kind of absurdly over that, that's when you get your full 60%. Just like we said before, the more that happens, the better you are. The more that come in at that level and the more that it is above print personality, the better off you are. Because remember the rule, okay? The more prints that they show us, okay, the above print personality, the more longer term it's going to be. So if they're showing us it's longer term and it's time to build, we want to take the opposite of their prints when they're building and when they show us for a fact that they're building. So our number 4 trade, back to it, is the same thing, like I said, is number 2. What we're looking for is prints on the ask at a major level, so a 0 or a 50. Okay, and then what we're going to be looking for the pullback based off the amount of prints that we see, and then a trigger back towards those prints. Make sense? Is everyone 100% clear on 1 through 4? And how to interpret in what we need to actually see. And like I said, I'm going to, the whole level 2, we're going to be doing everything live. I'm going to be showing you 1 through 4 trades throughout the entire time. Okay, so we're, this is, like I said, this is the beginning. We need to have this foundation before we can continue on. I'll post a visual on student chat. Beautiful, David. All right, so we're all clear with number 4. Okay, now let's talk about the different types of prints that are out there. Okay. Most important prints, number 1, are what? Controlling prints. What are controlling prints? Controlling prints are anything print personality or above at a major level. What is a major level? You guys tell me this time, what's a major level? 50 cents or $1. What about minor levels? What about minor levels? So like a 25 or a 75. Are those controlling prints? Depends. What does it depend on? Yeah, personality of the stock. Guys, is it a possibility that some stocks' personalities have more volume that come in at the minor levels than 50 and $1? Or is it always just going to be 50 or $1? Of course. So if the prints are really, the personality of it, if you get 25 or 75 and you get way above print personality, it's still going to affect it. It's just not going to affect it as much. All right. So for instance, if a stock, prints at 52.25 versus 52.50, why is there a big difference there? Well, it depends what the prints look like. If at 52.50 it's way above print personality, we know it's still got to pull back, right? It's just not as long. 52.50 being a huge psychological level and being harder to break, we know we have a better chance. It's just a higher percentage. So you really never can put a full 60% on prints at a minor. Okay, but it could still be as high as like 58, 55, somewhere in that area. Okay, but we're always better at major levels. All right, because obviously major levels are they're just stronger places. What's the next type of print? So we have controlling prints. What's another type of print? That typically happens after reaction prints. Reaction prints are exactly what it sounds like. It's the reaction to controlling prints. All right, so what happens? We get beautiful ass prints at 52.50. What happens immediately afterwards? Why is that important? Why is it important to see immediate reactions after we get controlling prints? Why is it so important? That's it. Okay, helps us understand the game plan, which for the most part is our timing. It's understanding what they're showing us, what the timing should look like. Okay, the reaction, and that's a great point, Christian. It's the reaction is what moves the stock, because usually a reaction print, is it going to happen at a level? For the most part, it can happen at a level, but for the most part, is it going to happen at a level? No. Okay, so those are going to give us that time frame. So if a reaction to ask prints, okay, let's say we're at 52, we get, our print personality, let's just call it 4. Our print personality, so we get ask prints at 52. The reaction to it is 5 prints or 4 print now. It's print personality is 4. The reaction's 3 prints on the bid side of things. Okay, so we come up to like 52.11 and we get bid prints. That's the reaction from those ask prints at 52. How do I take that? What is that person that's sitting behind the other computer telling me about the first position we saw? They're going to ride a pullback, but the fact that it's that smaller amount of prints is telling us what type of trader are they? They're shorter term, right? Okay, definitely a day trader. So, matter of fact, we don't ever follow retail. Okay, the prints have to be at least within print personality as a reaction to really care about them. Because is it technically, if we get ask prints at 52 and we get 1,000 share reaction print above 52, is that someone I care about? No. If the average market maker is trading 3 prints within a burst, that's the lowest person I want to follow, right? It's got to be around print personality. Not way over print personality, okay, but around print personality. Okay, because if we come up at 52.11 and we get huge selling way over print personality, technically what's going to happen? Based off of those prints, They're longer short-term prints. You're probably going to get a pull-up first before the stock ends up coming back down. So it really, and that's exactly what it is. They delay the move. So we have to understand, remember, these numbers literally don't mean a thing when it comes to tape reading. What actually is important is understanding who is behind the number and what their intentions are. Because if we know their intentions, we know how to trade it. For instance, if their intentions is for the stock to go down, well, we know we want to go down. If their intentions for the stock to go up, well, obviously we want to go long. So those reaction prints are going to tell us basically what the position we first saw means. Because if we get nothing after ask prints at 52, what does that tell us? How do we follow that? Beautiful ask prints, let's say 4 ask prints at 52. What does that tell us? What does that tell us right there? How do we take ask prints at print personality? What's going to happen? Yeah, you're going to have to see a pullback, right? Now that pullback itself, we're going to base, if it's within print personality and a stock like DD, how much would we expect? How much are we going to expect a pullback in DD if it's at print personality? It's not 50 cents. What's the number? Yeah, about $1. Guys, remember, so we talked about yesterday in Traders Exchange how the numbers over here were different because of what it did in the pre-market, but then it wasn't actually trading. When did all of this happen? When did all of this happen? Yeah, after the open. This is how the stock's trading. This is today. This is its personality today. It's moving in dollars. It's that simple. See what I mean? So those be the print personality at 52, those ask prints, we're going to be looking for about $1. Now, if you're looking for about $1, should you expect to make a full dollar? Let's say you get in perfectly, 51.99. Now, because once it comes down to that dollar, it starts getting close to that dollar, that's when games get to play, because that's how much it told us, is it's basically about $1 coming in. Now, if the reaction of selling is huge, what does that tell us about our price target? The reaction of selling is huge. What does that tell us about our price target? Further away. If there's no reaction, what does that tell us? Absolutely no reaction after ask prints at print personality at 52. Absolutely no reaction. What does that tell us? No, it's not no pullback. Is there ever a case where we get controlling prints on the ask side that we don't expect a pullback from? When we get advanced, there will be situations, but in reality, no. If you have ask prints, it's got to pull back. It's that simple. Obviously, there's things that we're going to talk about that come into play that that we'll go over as we're watching those things live. But it's just not time yet. Remember, because it's at print personality, that person's telling us that they need to build first. Okay, and in that case, no reaction after those ask prints at 52. How much am I expecting to make? What's my price target? How much? Okay, no reaction. We know the stock moves in dollars. What would be a safe way to go about it, though? What would be our price target? So 50 in a stock like this is a little too conservative. How much would I actually put it at? So it's not $1. It's not 50 cents. Here we go. 75 cents. Because I know that other 25 cents to the downside, that's when games are going to happen. And when games are going to happen, do I want to be involved in games? Games for, as a kid, I love games. I don't like games in the market at all. So I don't want to be part of games. So what does that tell me when it comes down? Well, I'm going to be really looking at what the reaction to the prints at the 51.25 are going to be, because it's 75 cents within, 75 cents from there. So I'm going to be looking to probably take off. Now that doesn't mean if the prints, if I see major off-level selling coming in, then obviously I'm going to pay attention to that, and I'm not just going to get out for it, but I'm always going to be ready. I want to be ready for anything that could happen, because if the stock just keeps going down, is that a problem for me? This stock just keeps so my price target 75 cents, but it just keeps going down. No, beautiful. That's perfect. But the elite traders, what are they most worried about? What is the elite traders most worried about? It's not what they can make. It's what they can lose. So if I know it's at a spot where it's all, a spot where something could happen, and that's exactly what Doug just said. It's risk control. So I know that's a spot I have to be very weary of. You guys ask, a lot of you guys ask me how I can trade so many stocks at a time. It's because I know where to look. After I see the prints, I know what's going to happen, so I know exactly where I need to look next. So if this stock is just like this, we know 49.50, 50 is going to be our price target. I don't really need to look at much until it's coming down towards that 50 area. So like anywhere between 50, 30, and 50. I don't really need to look. Not for nothing, but this was not a bad short at all. I mean, the trigger was iffy, but you could see coming back out of here, it definitely was almost there. But do the market makers ever print not at levels? Of course, absolutely. Market makers print where there's availability to print. The reason that it's almost always at levels is because at levels is where people are looking. And the psychology behind it is that we know that people are there. So if they know that people are there, there's a higher amount of volume to do big things. Remember, these people are not trading 10,000 shares, 20,000 shares. They're trading hundreds of thousands, in some cases, millions of shares. So something that you absolutely, you have to pay attention to. All right, so we have controlling prints, we have reactionary prints. What are the next? What's number 3? Next type of print. So technically, I mean, you guys, ballsy, leaky, we're going to get there, I promise you. But what's more important? Ballsy prints, leaky prints, or off-level prints? Which one's more important for us? Off-level. Okay. So what is an off-level print? Well, just like it sounds, okay? It's not at a major level, okay, or a minor level, okay? So 25, so zeros, 25, 50, or 75. Those are not off level. Now, what about, let's say, 50, 80? Is that off level? Technically not. Fives and zeros hold the highest amount of volume. So it is off level, but the time frame is always going to be longer if it's a 0 or a 5 rather than a 1, 2, 3, 4, or a 6, 7, 8, 9. Does everyone understand what I mean by that? So 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cent, 4 cent, 6 cents, 7 cents, 8 cent, 9 cent. Those are going to be the shortest time frame off level type prints. When we get it at 0 or 5, technically it's still off level, but it's going to act a lot more like if it was at a major level than something that happens at one of those numbers. Are we clear? Because that's very important. Does everyone understand? And if you don't, do not hesitate. Some of you guys have been in classes for a while. Some of you guys are brand new. So the 10, 20, 30 hold less weight. Yep, as well as the 15, 25, and 35. It's not it's not necessarily, I don't want to say it as they hold less weight, because they still hold weight, but it's going to act a lot more like a controlling level would, rather than if it was at a 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, those prints, what do they tell us about time frame? What do off-level prints tell us about time frame? What do off-level prints tell us about time frame? Faster, quicker, now type prints. Now keep in mind, if it's off level and it's way above print personality, does it still need to follow the rules? It does. We're just not going to expect as much to happen. All right, we're not going to expect as much of a pullback. We're going to be looking for things to happen fairly quickly. It's still going to pull back sometimes 10 cents, depending on the stock, 25, 30, depending on how big the range of the stock is. But it's telling us that we can get ready for that to happen now. Why is that? What's the psychology behind off-level prints happening quicker? So not necessarily difficulty of trade. Difficulty of trade, we're going to talk about this afternoon. All right, but not necessarily difficulty of trade. Who's behind the computer? Who's behind the computer that's taking things at non-levels? Well, market maker, depending on the amount of prints. It's smart money, but what type of smart money? Day traders. Day traders, guys, how often do you buy the way I've taught you guys how to trade? And those have been in the classes and have been trading. How have I ever taught you to trade at major levels? Do triggers happen and then we get in at major levels? Have I ever taught you that? Almost all of our positions happen where? Off level, they're day traders because they're trading the stock. They're not controlling the stock. They're trading the stock with larger shares. And when someone's trading larger shares, what does that typically mean about them? What is that typically going to tell us about that person? Skilled. Okay, so in order to get to trading larger shares, you've been doing this for a while, they know what they're doing. But they're not building stocks, they're trading stocks. Most day traders, are they retail mostly? No, there's entire divisions at every single bank, at every single hedge fund, that day trade. Now, they're still market makers. They're just not the controlling type market makers. So when they show us a position, it's showing us their position. It's not showing us their building of a position. Do you see the difference there? They're not showing us a position. They're showing us they're not showing us what the possibilities of their position are going to be. They're showing us their actual position. And what's the game plan? What's our mission statement in trading? What is our mission statement in trading? To get as far away as quickly as possible from our entry. So if we know that's their entry, we know they need to start making money fairly quick, don't they? And that's the psychology behind off-level prints. See how that works? One of the things that you have to, and in these classes, it's not just about teaching you how to trade, it's teaching you how to think. Okay, there should never be something that goes on a consistent basis that you do not know the psychology behind. Can I be an elite tape reader without knowing who is on the other side of that computer? Can I ever be elite if I do not know and I just follow the rules? I could be really good, but I'll never be elite. These numbers, okay? I use the matrix as an example of time because that's what this is. It's not the numbers. The numbers are just spots on a chart. It's what's behind the numbers. What their thought process is behind those numbers, what their game plan is behind those numbers. Because when I know that, I know how to trade the stock. I know what the stock needs to do to a point where I can draw the chart. I want to be able to draw the chart with who's sitting at their computers, not just numbers. Like I said, ask prints at 52, pull back, and then goes up. That's all you really need to know to be a good trader. And you could get really good. You can make a lot of money. But when we're talking about into the millions and having $1 million days and $1 million months, no, we have to know. So everything is always, it's not just about off-level prints do this. And obviously you'll take my word for it because you see it work day in and day out. But don't take my word for it because that's not going to help you grow mentally. Okay? So when I tell you off-level prints do this, why? What's behind it? Why is it doing that? Make sense? Beautiful. Now next, ballsy. What are ballsy prints? What are ballsy prints? Prints above or below a level in the right direction. Absolutely. So stocks coming up to 52 here. Okay, ballsy prints would be basically anything from 51.90 to 52. Okay, if the stock was coming down to 52, basically anywhere from 52.01 to 52.10. Why? What's the psychology behind ballsy prints? Yep, it's got to be ask below or bids above. What's the psychology behind ballsy prints? When a stock's coming to 52, okay, we can, to a certain extent, if it has the volume, assume it's going to print there, isn't it? Okay, to a certain extent, see the order. We can assume that if it has the volume and it gets to that number, that we're going to end up seeing it print. What does that tell us? Well, the stock is probably going to pull. Well, it's not probably. The rules are that the stock is going to pull back. So if somebody's buying right under a place where it shows that more than likely it's going to pull back from, are they going to be right? Hell yes. So that shows us. Now, ballsy prints also come in two different ways, off level and sort of off level. Is prints at 51.99 the same as prints at 51.95? They're not, just like we explained before, because those at 51.95 are going to take longer and they're going to act more as like the prints at 52 were in comparison to 51.99 or 51.98 or 97 or 96 or 94, 93, so on and so forth. That's telling us that the pullback, if we get ask prints at 52, what does that tell us about the pullback we can expect within time frame? What does that tell us about time frame? Quicker. It's going to be quicker. If we get those ballsy prints that are off level underneath 52 and we get ask prints at 52, we know it still needs to pull back, but now we can expect the move to upside the prints to happen quicker. Just like the same thing, if we were coming down and we got those ballsy prints at, let's say, 52.03, okay, 52.03, that's telling us that if we get bid prints at 52, the pullback is going to be quicker. So if we get ballsy prints that come up to a level, unless it's absurdly above print personality, and we get asked, let's say we get the ballsy prints at 51.97. All right, so now the stock comes up and we get great ask prints at 52. Is that a number one trade with great ask prints at 52? No, unless it is absurdly over. So if the print personality is 4, we're talking about it's got to be 10 plus in that area, something that's just so drastically huge that that market maker trumps everything else that we've seen. Otherwise, we're not going to touch it as a number one trade. It's going to be a number 4 trade because we're going to wait for that pullback because we know the time frame is shorter, and then we're going to look for that trigger back towards the upside quickly. We're not going to try to trade it because that person basically told us that the building isn't going to last long. Make sense? Pullback from ballsy 99 would be quicker still than 95, right? Or is it not worth thinking about? Absolutely. No, it is worth thinking about because at 95, it's going to take longer. Okay, that's not as ballsy as 99. You see, because at 95, there's going to be a lot more volume typically than there would be at 99. One of them shows us they could be building. The other one shows us this is their position. See the difference? And number 5, leaked prints. Now, what are leaked prints? So leaked prints would be all in one burst. If we got ask prints at 52 that leaked in or above 52. Now this doesn't need to leak into 52.01 okay, but within about 5 cents. Okay, so you get one burst, you'd have ask Prince at 52, and then have in that burst, Prince basically they would be eating up the entire order at 52, which would make them have to go into 5201, 5202, 5203, 5204, willing there's orders there. That's why I said sometimes they won't be in order at 5101. So that one burst is going to encapsulate 52 and 5203 or 5204, but it has to be within 5 cents to actually be leaked, and it all has to be in one burst. Now, what does that tell us psychologically? Psychologically, what does that tell us? Impatient. It's actually a really good good way to put it. And it's a time frame. If they care that much about getting shares that quickly, what's our time frame telling us? They're taking as much as they possibly can right this second. Yeah, very short time frame. And it works the same way and just the opposite way for leaked prints on the bid. So the bid check. Yeah, my headset's been beeping this whole time. I knew it was gonna die. What did where did what did you guys cut off of? Okay, so the bid is where we left. Okay, perfect. So it's just the same thing. So if they short into 52 and it leaks under to 51, 51, 99, 98, 97, 96, it's telling us they wanted that many shares so badly this quickly that they actually leaked it in rather than waiting and building that order. And if they're psychologically telling us that they need it right now, what does that tell us about time frame? Just like we talked about on the ask leak print. They want it now. If they want it now, money time is on its way. Okay, and money time is always the best time to make money because of the fact it's following the prints. That when they're ready to make money, they want all the help they can get. And we are there gladly to give it to them. All right, guys, do we have any questions on the types of prints? All good. I know this is review for a lot of you. Some of you, this is brand new, but this foundation is imperative to understand in order to continue on moving. Good refresher after a month gone. Beautiful, Pedro. All right, guys. So remember class today at 3 p.m. We'll talk to everyone in the chat and happy trading.